If you're looking for gluten-free food in North London, you might want to check out these options. First up is Copains, a completely gluten-free bakery that have many shops in Paris and have recently opened a few branches in London too. It's probably not like any bakery you've been to before, gluten-free or not. It has a really interesting setup where you roam around looking at the food, more like the Apple Store than a bakery. Actually, maybe it's more like IKEA, because all the items have a random product name which bears seemingly no resemblance to whatever they actually are. Like this Madeleine is named Enzo for some reason. It's giving me Billy the Bookcase and Mom the Chest of Drawer vibes. But anyway, they have a really broad range of bread-based items, with everything you can think of catered for. They have pastries like croissants, apple turnovers, scrolls, cinnamon buns, choux pastries like eclairs and Paris Bresse, as well as some fully vegan items. There are many choices of cakes, brownies, cookies, madeleines and so on, not to mention loaves of bread, sandwiches and open sandwiches. So you're certainly not going to have a lack of choice when you're here. We tried 3 items on this day. The first was either a pizza slice or an open sandwich with sun-dried tomatoes, courgette and vegan feta. The bread itself was quite cold and they don't warm it up for you, which is not ideal, but I do think it ended up making the bread slightly less crumbly than it otherwise would have been. I would say the bread was only okay, but the toppings were really flavoursome, especially the tomatoes, which were really intense, and the vegan feta was surprisingly silky. They clearly used high quality ingredients. We also had the chocolate eclair. This was really nice, very rich in flavour and absolutely packed with chocolate pastry cream. Not very sweet at all, and overall I think a great rendition of an eclair, gluten-free or not. I would definitely get this again. This is the chocolate financier. When I saw this, I thought the outside of this would be a bit more like a pastry, and it would have the filling all the way down, but it ended up being much more cake-like than I was expecting. Still nice and not particularly sweet, other than the chocolate on top. The elephant in the room is the pricing, and the gluten-free tax here is maybe double what you might expect. But the food is pretty good, so it really depends if that is worth it for you. Niche is a fully gluten-free restaurant, just over the other side of Angel Station. It's one of the only fully gluten-free restaurants in London, and somewhere I've been wanting to try for quite a while now. We went on a Sunday to get a roast with all the trimmings, although more on that in a minute. They still have a seemingly full menu even on Sunday, so there was still plenty of other choices available. They also have gluten-free beer, which is a rarity, so quite a nice treat. This was Bird Brain, a session IPA made with buckwheat. We ordered the rosemary focaccia. It was quite big, a very generous serving, and came out still very warm, with olive oil and balsamic. The bread itself was quite nice, although it does become brittle as it cools down, so best to eat it quickly. It was so big though we weren't able to finish at all. We ordered the roast beef. It all looks pretty good and a nice rendition. The beef is slightly overdone though, so if you prefer a rarer cut, it's worth mentioning that when ordering. To their credit, when we mentioned it, they did come round with some new pieces of beef which were less well done. The Yorkshire pudding was nice, very crispy on the edges and soft in the middle, which is how I like it. Now I wanted to order the vegetarian Sunday roast, although sadly they didn't have it, which I was pretty disappointed by. So instead I got the Glamorgan potato cake instead. I think this is also vegan as it has plant-based cream. Then to finish we had a poached pear crumble. This was a little too sweet for my liking, but if you have a sweet tooth, you might like it. Moving one stop up the Northern Line over to King's Cross. We're going to Coal Drops Yard and Lina Stores. Lina Stores actually have quite a few different branches now, but this is the one in North London. They have a fairly extensive Italian menu with a number of a la carte options and also a set menu. Although this is not the gluten-free menu, they have a separate online menu for all allergens, which is very convenient and makes it very easy to filter through. Although this is the breakfast menu, which you can see everything is grayed out for gluten-free. So yeah, I guess I wouldn't recommend coming for breakfast if you're celiac. But looking at the a la carte menu, I think about 2/3 of the dishes are in fact gluten-free. Although for some reason all of their pasta dishes are grayed out, which is a mistake. They can make most, if not all, the pasta on the menu with a gluten-free pasta instead. So I don't know why the menu is like this. So we ordered the insalata verde. This was very nice, very fresh and well-dressed salad with a really nice olive oil dressing. We also got the burrata, sat on some very nice olive oil. And this burrata is, I don't know the technical term, but basically a soup once you crack it open. So it's very silky, smooth, creamy texture. You almost need a spoon to scoop it up. And this is our usual order when we come here. We really like this burrata and olive oil combo. For a main, we both went for the 30 egg yolk taglioni with black truffle. The dish on the left is the regular pasta for comparison, and the dish on the right is gluten-free. So yeah, the regular version comes with taglioni, and the gluten-free version resembles something a bit like a farfalle, although not exactly. I'm pretty sure they switch up the gluten-free pasta occasionally, because I've definitely had different types with this same dish before. So I would guess they just have one kind of gluten-free pasta on hand at one time, which they use for different dishes. Okay, and then last we have Bubala, which is just a 2-minute walk away from Lina Stores. So this restaurant is mostly plant-based with some vegetarian dishes as well. They have an a la carte menu and also 2 set menus, which you can see here. The vast majority of items on the menu are also gluten-free. So it's just the ones that say NGF to avoid. So a very good place for plant-based and gluten-free diners. Although I think most meat eaters would be pretty happy eating here too. So Bubala don't actually do any gluten-free bread with their dips. They prefer to have these crudites, which were carrots, lettuce and beetroot. And we had these with the baba ganoush with pine nuts. This was really nice. Not the best baba ganoush I've ever had, but really nice with these crudites. And I've actually started ordering crudites over gluten-free bread now if that is an option. I think it's a nice change and the variety of crudites adds an extra dimension to the dish. The halloumi with black seed honey was delicious. It's just one big slab, charred a little on both sides and still really succulent and juicy on the inside. Whenever I cook halloumi, it's really easy to make it tough, but this was really soft. I don't know how they do it. And the black seed honey was both savoury and sweet. The oyster mushroom skewers had some great textures. They were crispy, juicy and chewy all in different places. The grill and the glazing gave it a really meaty and smoky flavour, and I've never had mushrooms quite like this before. The falafel with some tahini and pickles was very nice, and a dish that I'd always want to try at a place like this, and it didn't disappoint. The falafel mix was particularly herby, which gave each falafel a vivid green colour on the inside, and although only lightly fried, was still very crispy and aromatic. The last savoury dish we ordered was the confit potato latkes, which were doused in sea salt and came with a lovely garlic sauce with a sprinkling of chilli. These parcels of potatoes were really flavoursome and looked great glistening in the sun. And then to finish, we had the chocolate cream with tahini and cocoa nibs. This was really good, not overly rich but very dense, not sweet at all due to the tahini, but just extremely Moorish. It was quite tricky to eat with these cocoa nibs though, I have to say. They did keep breaking in my hands while trying to film, but we got there in the end. I think this is a better way to eat it, a bit more civilised and less messy. So did I miss any good spots from North London? Please leave a comment and let me know.